Okay, we made it to our first session of the mini course on awakening, reconnecting with Nahasdzaan or Mother Earth and enlivening our what I hope to become for everybody our daily relationship with nature and finding love and harmony balance in all that we do with nature and Mother Earth. So, welcome everybody. I'm so glad that we're kicking this off today. So, I'm Kathleen, or Kathleen Michelle, or some of you might even know me by Kat. And so, One Moment Center is hosting this, but really the show is about Tallerita. So, you guys will meet her in just a moment. And so we'll be together for 5 weeks. If you signed up for the VIP level, we will be on for 6 weeks together. And that VIP session at the end is Q&A. So just a little bit of housekeeping on that is that our last session, that last Q&A VIP session, that's when we'll do all of our Q&A. So anybody who's joining us live or watching in the replays, feel free to send me any questions that you have that come up. So you can just email info.onemomentcenter@gmail.com and I'll get those questions and I'll make sure that I pass them on to Tallerita so that she can be ready to answer them in our last time together. So that's all I'm going to say for now. I'm going to pass the baton on to Tallerita so she can introduce herself and she's going to go through the little bundles with us. So for those of you who ordered the bundles that go through or go with the course, she's going to give you some information on that. So Tallerita, I'm passing it off to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on this mini course. And I just wanted to highlight really quickly, Kat, what you said about reconnecting with the daily practice of being within Mother Earth. And that's part of what I'm going to be sharing today is like it really is a daily practice. And it's embedded in everything that we do as Navajo people. But welcome everybody. I'm Tallerita Tuney Rogers. I am, of course, Dine. My clans are in English, mini goats, and I was born for Zuni Edgewater, which is my father's clan, and then my I always get these because I'm still learning the language, and so translation sometimes can be a little difficult for me. My maternal grandfather is from the Batani clan, and then my paternal grandfather is from the Bitterwater clan. And I grew up around the Gray Mountain area of Navajo Nation, but I live here now in the Valley of the Sun. And I am a lifelong learner. And so what I'm going to be sharing today is what I have spent my life discovering, asking questions about. And what is really key here is that I have spent officially the past year operating the Shade House Center, which is an organization that sub operates a retail store. We recently had a brick and mortar store in Mesa, but we've moved to a mobile concept just because we had low foot traffic. And so there's that aspect. And the store was really designed to help our urban Navajo people reconnect with the culture. And through those conversations with many, many people who are reconnecting as elders, who are growing their own families and recognizing, oh, I really want to get back in touch with the culture and the teachings, as well as young people who are growing up in households who, because of colonization or other factors in their lives, aren't getting the teachings. And so my next venture is to really be delivering trainings like this to help deliver this information in a safe environment, because sometimes we come from communities or individuals who have been so traumatized by their experience in sharing and being within culture that they come with a lot of judgment. And so that's my goal within the Shade House Center and the Chaha'o, which is our store name, to provide access to those services. And so that is coming from my social work aspect and my Navajo role that I believe that I have and hold within the Navajo community. Because as moms and within Diné culture, we are maternal in that way. Okay, so the kit that you received, the very first item that is supposed to go with this week is for those of you who are getting a mailed box in this first week, you will receive a notebook. Our pens are on back order, so that will be coming later. And the idea between the notebook and the pen is that you'll be able to jot down some notes and to do some self reflection through these sessions, but also, especially after this first one, that you're going to go back and reflect okay, some of the concepts that we're talking about and covering are grounding and how that plays a role within our culture and how that can come play a role in your lives. The other thing is that we're going to be talking about the duality of male female. However, I do want to acknowledge that Navajo culture is not a duality culture, not a duality based culture. There is the in between. Of you might call it intersex or non-binary, whatever the words are. We have more genders and more roles than the male and the female. So we'll go through that. So there's a lot to cover. And the second thing that we will have in the bundle is the a smudge kit because we are talking about grounding techniques. We are talking about spirituality and culture. We're also talking about the elements that came from Mother Earth to help us do all of those things. And so in your smudge kit, you have sweetgrass and cedar leaves. The cedar will come in a container just like this, and that'll keep it safe and away from moisture and items like that. The next item you will receive, oh, I don't have an example of this, but you'll receive a package of blue cornmeal so that you can internalize and ingest some elements from Mother Earth, blue corn. And then with that, I didn't label these, but this package here is 1 teaspoon of juniper ash. So another element of Mother Earth that we utilize to help us take care of ourselves because our knowledge and our teachings are now supported by contemporary science in that elements from the earth sustain us. Juniper ash has been proven to provide things like calcium and other nutrients that are important for our bodies to function. And so there are instructions on the package of blue cornmeal so that you can make a blue corn mush or a porridge. There you go. Thanks, Kat. And then the Navajo soaps. So here's what happened. There's a young girl, an entrepreneur who has been making soaps. I think that they are potentially closed. And so I couldn't get the specific soaps I had in mind for you all, which included elements of incense from our cultural tea, which is a family member to the chamomile. So I had to search another company to get that. So when those arrive, those will also go out to you. And that's to really take on an additional sense of scent and to enjoy the benefits of what the tea can provide to you or another scent. I'll provide that information when we get there. And then another one, just to celebrate the unique and the talent of our people. The final item is some lotion from Sagebrush Trading Company, which is Navajo owned. And that is so that you can also practice self care as you reflect over these several weeks that we're going to be together. Okay, so I'll send it back to you, Kat.
Great, great. Thank you. I'm going to see if I can, there we go, get it back to me. Okay, so that's lovely. And the bundles are going to be going along with your teachings, right? Each part of the kit is going to go along with the teachings that we'll be receiving from you every week. And so before I go into our grounding and centering and getting ourselves present and here so that we can give all of our awareness and attention and intention over to Tallerita. I just wanted to share with anybody who cares or is interested. Tallerita and I actually are both social workers by training. And so I work in the mental health field. And before any of that, before our graduate school work, we actually know each other because we played softball together in college in Minnesota. So that's how we know each other, and our paths just kept crossing. And turns out that we have some shared mission and vision in the world. And so here we are making this magic together. So, again, thank you guys for being here. So, I'm going to start off with a little bit of a grounding, like I was saying, and then I'm going to hand it right back over to Tallerita. She's going to share her wisdom and teachings with us. And then at the very end, we'll close up our time together with another little just mindful moment of gratitude. So, wherever you are, you can be sitting, you can be lying down in a chair, on the floor, wherever you'd like, but just finding a place where you can sit comfortably or lay down comfortably. And your spine can be long. That's really kind of all we're looking for here. We want to be comfortable and a spine that's nice and long, not crouched over or bent in any direction, just a long spine, as if we have a tube going from our tailbone to the top of our head and stretching that tube out. And then your eyes can be open or closed, totally, totally open to what you prefer. And if possible, just noticing the parts of your body that are connected to whatever is supporting you. So your feet might be supported by the floor. The back of your body might be supported by a chair or a bed or a pillow. Just bringing our awareness that we are supported, we are held. And bringing our awareness to the breath just as it is. No need to change it. Though sometimes by bringing our awareness to something, it shifts and changes on its own, and you can just notice that as well. But with mindful awareness, we just notice and observe the sensations, maybe even the sounds of the inhale and the exhale. Perhaps the breath becomes a little bit deeper. And then if you'd like, in your mind's eye, at the base of your spine, under your sits bones, or even underneath your feet, as you exhale, seeing roots go down into the floor and into the soil beneath you. On the exhales, allow those roots to become deeper and wider, deeper and wider. Noticing what it's like to have these roots beneath you, literally grounding down. And if you'd like, on your inhales, you might bring any nurturing or nutrition, anything energetically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally that you might need right now, up through those roots and into your body, your heart, your mind. Exhaling, feeling those roots. Inhaling and bringing anything in that serves you at this time. A few more full rounds of breath, knowing that we are here now in this time, in this space, open to receiving whatever it is that we need to receive today. One more inhale through the nose, a gentle exhale or a sigh through the mouth, coming back to the space that we're in. And again, welcome. And I'm going to hand it over to Tal.
All right. So I love that we're talking about grounding because I want to revisit that I am very much a learner. And if you ever meet a medicine man or medicine woman who carries a lot of our traditions, teachings, and our stories, which guide our people and our lives, they will also tell you they are still learning. So, what I want to share is to show you a physical example of what it means to be grounded in a physical sense, as well as how that becomes a part of our daily life. So, here is an image of a few different structures. So, first, can you see what I have selected? Not quite. You can see. Okay. So what I'm sharing is a structure, three structures. This one here is what I have fashioned our store name after. This is what we call a cha'o. Also a shade house or ramada, whatever your term is. This is what most of our houses, our cha'o look like on Navajo Nation. And the concept that I took from the shade house and the structure, the chaha'o, is really it's a gathering place. It's a place where people can come together, be together. It's very multi-purpose. We may even deliver stories and teachings to one another here. My grandma used to cook in the summertime. She wove her baskets and her rugs in this structure. So there's that. This here in the center is what our male hogan looks like. And you'll see that it's a little bit of a conical shape. I don't yet have the teaching for or the justification for why it's a conical shape, but traditionally and culturally, only males can enter this structure. And there's a smaller version of this that can be built away from a primary compound like this, where the males will participate in a sweat lodge, if you will, so that they can maintain that connected and that grounding process. So for us, it is literally grounding that we're doing. Our home is literally built of elements from Mother Earth. So let me show you the next item so that you can see another example. And this is the inside of the female hogan. The female hogan, as you saw, was a dome shape, and the interior traditionally looks like this. These are juniper logs that are lining the interior of the hogan. And if you go back and think about the previous image, both of these structures were covered in sand, and my grandma had one very similar to that. There have been different variations since colonization for a variety of reasons, but the hogan my grandma has is entirely structured with horizontal juniper logs up and down, and then it's covered with the sand. And I have to tell you, the red sand, she lived in the Monument Valley area. Oh, it is such a special scent, and it always brings me back to her. She's no longer with us. She succumbed to cancer, but you'll see up on the ceiling the interwovenness of these logs. This represents, it's symbolic of a bird's nest and the way that the birds weave their gatherings together to create their nests. And this is shaped in a dome shape because it represents the womb when a mother is pregnant. And so, it quite literally, we live in a dome shaped object because it is our way of saying and reminding to ourselves we come from Mother Earth. And so, Nahasdzaan literally means our mother when we're talking about the earth, the world that we live in. I'm not quite sure though if we knew how Earth was round possibly because we studied a lot of our about our stars and our surroundings. But our Hogan, the female Hogan, looks like a pregnant mother for the reason that we come from Mother Earth. The stovepipe that you see here is symbolic of the umbilical cord or the navel for where babies are connected to their mother. And you'll see that this here has a dirt or earthen floor, and both the female and the male Hogans are earthen. And that's because it's not only a space, well, the female Hogan is not only a space for living in, but it's also, they're both also utilized for ceremonies. And in certain ceremonies, it's important that we are physically touching the earth, whether that's by foot or we're seated on the earth to have that physical connection. So we are quite literally grounding throughout our practices in a daily setting as well as a physical setting. So I want to, we're losing quite a lot of time. So we have that duality, male and female, and I'm trying to be very surface level because our traditional stories can only be told during the winter, but we do have stories where there are additional genders within our lives, and they hold special significance and teachings. One, not the sex aspect, but we also have teachings that show the importance of having that duality, that male and female relationship and responsibility. Within these dwellings come the teachings of women have a role in the family and in the within our people, and then men have a role. We have tools that we hang and keep in our homes to remind us and to ward off things like poverty, hunger, or to ward off those who might want to harm us. And then the those tools are meant to be kept within our teachings. Now, the ceremonial aspect is, or I'm sorry, the teaching aspect is there are stories of a time before we were in this world where men and women were not cooperating with one another. And so they chose to split and live separately. And we learned over time that that wasn't possible. You know, procreation was not happening, and certain teachings and responsibilities were not happening. And so then came a time that God said, okay, you guys need to really work it out. And so we came back together as a people. And so that's a teaching that we share about how important both roles are when it comes to living in harmony and together and to maintaining our well-being as a people, because again, we can't procreate without both genders together. Okay, I want to briefly show you a pyramid, which you might have seen previously or have talked about as Maslow's hierarchy of well-being, but our how our hierarchy of well-being does not start with physical safety. We believe that that physical safety comes when our communities are healthy, well, and thriving. And I want to point out that means when our physical environment is healthy, when Mother Earth is treated well, when our water and our land resources are safe and healthy. And so right now there is a lot of teachings or medicine people that say the land and water challenges that we're having right now are symptomatic of, or maybe kind of coexisting, because we do also have some social challenges within our communities. And so it has a direct impact for our ability or inability to be grounded and to be healthy and have well communities. And so I want to take a brief pause because we do want to get back to Kat's set. section.
Don't worry about my section. We're just going to do a little closing at the end. So this is about you and what you're sharing with us about the balance and the harmony. And I think even today we're like you're touching on now, right? Is like we were going to be talking about what happens when we're not in balance, right? So not to scare everybody, right? But like to notice how important that is. So you just go for it and I will take 30 seconds at the end.
Absolutely. So this here is an actual model of the Navajo wellness model, or an image of the Navajo wellness model. I talked about how the environment, the physical environments that we're in are important to our well-being, but so are that internal aspects of who we are. And so we have these teachings that demonstrate that when we have, in order to achieve physical well-being, to achieve a healthy community, we also have that healthy internal thought process. And so when we're growing up, there are certain sayings that we're told and that we are taught. For example, um, positive self-talk, or manifestation, or thinking good thoughts and trying to think about the things that you want. Those are things that traditionally we would grow up with. And so when are things like lateral violence, or depression, and even suicide risk, really are symptomatic of that disconnect between our teachings and who we are traditionally and culturally as people. When we're maintaining harmony and well-being, we have positive self-respect. We practice self-care. There are teachings that we wear our hair and we take care of our physical being in a way that is respectful to ourselves. And then all of those really help to provide resiliency against colonial concepts, and even, interference with other communities who may not want us to continue. And that all contributes to self-identity and self-awareness and overall well-being. I will recognize that when we looked at the hierarchy of need, it's it's a it's interwoven, because we can't also get to that top of the pyramid if we don't have our basic physical and other base concepts in place. So I want to really quickly, we covered a lot in a short amount of time. And so some of the things I want you to be thinking about is, like, what are the things that I can do so that I can self-reflect? Like, what are the practices I need to do? And I am somebody who does struggle with prayer and positive self-talk and self-thought and manifestation. So I'm also learning in that aspect how to build that into my daily practice of just being in family routine. And so using some time to journal and to make some commitments to yourself. Like, how can I implement positive self talk? If I'm not ready to pray and do morning prayers with my corn pollen, how can I begin to have those moments throughout the day of positive self thought?
Awesome. All right. I'm going to remove the spotlight and maybe go back into pinning myself there. I hope that I don't even know how that shows up on the video. Hopefully it goes well. But so that was so lovely. I loved seeing those images. Those were beautiful, and like especially being able to like see and like almost like feel what it's like to be in that like womb space, right? And I know that later in our course we're going to be it might even be, is it next week that we're talking about masculine, feminine, or like is it earth, sky? I can't remember what order we're going in. Is it? So we're going to talk more about like the balance of masculine, feminine, but just today really being able to reflect on how important it is that we are in daily relationship and communication with the earth, even if it's just by like, how am I walking on the earth? Like, are my rubber soles hitting the earth or like my feet connecting with the earth? Um, and and doing some of that self-reflection. And I will also just quickly say that if anybody else, I think a lot of folks here probably resonate with like, oh, it's hard to like get still and think about my thinking and even talk to myself in a kind, friendly way. And I think that that in and of itself is like a sign of things being like we're not in balance. And that maybe speaks also to the larger system that we are a part of, or that most of us have been living in and trained in. But so even more important than that we're taking that seriously, of like even just that practice of like, how can I be friendly to myself today? How can I talk nicely to myself today? Is us doing daily practice of being in balance with Mother Earth. And that is super sweet. So thank you for that reminder. Okay, and on that note of thanks, let's just close with a moment of gratitude. So again, like what sitting exactly how you are, standing, sitting, however you are is fine. Maybe you're watching this in the future while on the bus somewhere, wherever you are, just finding as comfortable a position as you can. Eyes can be open or closed, and let's just come back to the breath. And even that, knowing that like breath is always us rebalancing. We inhale and our sympathetic nervous system activates. We exhale and our parasympathetic nervous system activates, right? So we're always in balance. We're always trying to come back to harmony and equanimity. So even our breath is a reminder of how important it is to be in balance with nature and connected to nature. We are made of nature. We are one with Mother Earth. We are not separate. And having gratitude for that, having gratitude for the beauty of that, that that's just the way of things. And so maybe taking one or two hands and placing them on your heart and breathing into that felt sense of gratitude and thankfulness that we are taking the time to remember and reconnect and enliven that relationship and connection with Mother Earth, being a child of Mother Earth, and gratitude for the space and time that we are sharing with each other and the ripple effects that will be felt around the world because of that. One more cleansing breath. Coming back to the space that you're in if your eyes are closed. And just want to say again, thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of this, whether you are live with us or watching in the replays. If you have any questions, send them my way and I'll make sure that they get included. And if you have any questions about anything else, just even logistics, feel free to send them my way as well. So I'll stop the recording here in just a moment. Tal, do you have any closing remarks before we close up today?
No, I just want to say, Yahat, thank you for joining us. I love speaking about our culture, and so being able to do that today and for the next few weeks is just perfect where I'm at in life. And then a Yahat, which is our term for thank you. And one thing that I've been sharing a lot lately in our organization's social media is to just wish everybody well-being and to be a good relative.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right. Be well, everybody. We'll see you next week.